Just give me 10 minutes. I just need 10 minutes alone to not deal with a thing, to not answer my phone, just to ig my two-way, ig the shit in the streets. Just let me smoke this one cig in peace. Just give me 10 minutes without y'all coming at me with that bull. Sometimes that's all it takes to ruin my last pull. And right now, that's what got the kid at peace. Let me smoke this one cig in peace. Give me 10 minutes. Now, if y'all not familiar with that was written by none other than the Podfather himself, Joe Budden, who had a very eventful week, I want to say, with Caesar and his people. At first, Joe gets spotted at one of his spots doing, his regular, routine. He eats a meal and he steps out, and sure enough, Caesar's little brother comes up to him. He's already recording, and he's antagonizing Joe to kind of crash out. The reason why I start off with that line is because, sometimes we make art based off of reality, but a lot of times we see that reality imitates art, and that very line that Joe spit in that song reflects probably exactly how he felt in that moment, when all he wanted to do was come outside and get 10 minutes to smoke. I just thought it was ironic how great that lined up with those bars, because it was said by Joe Budden. He just want 10 minutes alone to not deal with a thing, to not answer his phone, and sure enough, somebody pulls up on him. So I thought that was just like, wow, man. It's crazy how sometimes we're thinking about something and we don't even know how we're predicting our own futures. That was very Nostradamus in that aspect. But that's not the only thing that happened between him and Caesar's peoples. It looks like he got into an incident. Somebody sucker punched him. A lot of people out there saying he got beat up, but he was on Flip's Live, and he looked like nobody ever touched him. At best he might have looked a little tired or, jet lagged, but he did not look like a man who had been quote unquote jumped. So a lot of people like to put up these clickbait type titles because they know more people are going to click on it. But when I see stuff like that and it's not the case, I'm just like, I immediately just lose respect for whatever platform is spreading that kind of narrative, because we got enough misinformation out here going on over social media that last thing we need is more garbage, and that's what I'm realizing now, is that YouTube is kind of becoming more tabloidish as we go on, especially on a week where there's less and less stuff to talk about. It seems like people reach further than they need to, when really the truth is just as interesting, in my opinion. The fact that he got into an incident at a nightclub, got into a little brawl, and both people came out unscathed, nobody got shot. That's what I like to hear, Let people shoot the fair one. We don't hear that too much often, man. I'm surprised nobody pulled out, nobody jumped. Like, I'm very surprised, because every other day we're hearing about this rapper that got shot, and so on. So it's almost like people don't got hands anymore, because nobody really throws down like they used to. Everybody just going straight to the guns. So I salute both sides in that respect, and the fact that they can hash it out, and hopefully they got it out their system. And if they didn't, then hopefully it'll just be another square up, just like that, instead of someone losing their life over it. Both sides probably have people they care about. Shout out to Joe Budden. I'm glad that he's safe, and I'm glad that nothing serious really came out of that, because I am a fan of the podcast, and that would suck, man. Glad to see that panned out the way it did. On other news, something that I've been thinking about, and I just been man, I just say it ain't so. Like, just say it ain't so. I know that when we heard about Will and Jada, we kind of knew that something wasn't right. Especially with a lot of the stuff that Jada's spreading out in the news. But when I heard about Remy and Papoose, that was one that kind of hit home, because I'm like, man, Papoose rode for Remy. And to hear that she's kind of going off the rails with this Eazy Eazy off the block. I don't even know his name. I know he battle raps, but you know, I'm kind of on Papoose side on this one. I think it's kind of ridiculous if this is the way that Remy's going with this relationship, especially since Papoose held her down while she was locked up. I mean, I don't even know that many chicks that would have done that, let alone a dude do that for his girl. You know, that to me is, I don't know, it does kind of make you look at the situation from a whole different light. And it makes you think that if there ain't no hope for them, you know, if they was like the ideal couple, held it down through prison, how do you get through prison? You get through, you know, the industry, you get through the issues with Joe that he had, because there was an issue with Joe that Papoose had. How do you get through all of that? And now this is what broke the straw on the camel's back. That to me is, it's shocking. But, you know, supposedly Remy's turning up in public places with this guy, and we see that Papoose is making posts on Father's Day that don't include Remy in the picture, which we know is beyond abnormal. But I guess we'll have to see what comes out of this in the future. But it definitely looks like they're at least separated at this point. I don't know if they're divorced or if they, you know, even if they just, you know, they sent papers, but it looks like there's definitely something going on with that couple. Another thing, I know I always say this, that I didn't want to talk about some of these things, but I kind of feel like I want to shed light on this whole situation with Kisha Chavez and Joe Smith. Joe Smith is probably, you know, one of the best players that was playing in the early 2000s. Remember, he received the first round draft pick, played for the Warriors. I mean, Supreme Ball is solid. You know, if you're playing 2K, he was definitely one of the ones you picked, right? But it appears that for whatever reason, he got into an argument with his wife, who decided to post the argument. Now, I feel like I know what Joe was really mad at. Everybody's talking about him being mad about the OnlyFans. I couldn't possibly disagree with social media and the rest of YouTube. I mean, I think everybody just missed it. That's not why he's mad. Joe Smith is mad because, just like she said, he knew what kind of business she was into before they got together. And even though she stopped doing adult movies before they got married, he knew who he was talking to. You know, I don't know where they met, but he knew that he was talking to, you know, a woman that used to go by the name of Yasmin Pendavis. Now, that's not the name that's gonna pull up when you pull up Kisha Chavez. But if you do enough digging, you're gonna find Yasmin Pendavis. If you're a Korn fan of the 90s, of you know, a connoisseur of those types of things, and you've watched a couple adult movies, and you heard about some of the legendary stars out there, especially, you know, ones that, you know, we've seen kind of cross mainstream, you know, like Mr. Marcus, we've seen him in things outside of porn, and probably in music videos and interviews. She was up there. I mean, the Heather Hunters, I mean, she was up there. And I know if I'm Joe, I'm not tripping over the OnlyFans. Because that OnlyFans shit, the most she could have been doing is stripping and twerking on her OnlyFans. But if you go back to the videos, if you go back to see Yasmin, that's what Joe was mad about. Joe was mad about them 50 plus bodies she had in the industry. Not that it happened, but the fact that now everybody knows it happened. And I think so many outlets missed that point. They're saying that Joe's tripping or his fault. No, it's just that the cat is out of the bag, pun intended. And that's why Joe left. And I don't blame Joe for leaving, because whereas you was kind of like, you know, in your own box. Nobody even knew. Nobody was even talking about this until she pulled out her phone. And now she's doing blogs. She's on it. It is what it is, flirting with Cam. And it looks like Cam got into her DMs on live YouTube, basically. And who knows what's going to happen behind the scenes. Not hating on Cam, but definitely not feeling the greatest for my dude, Joe Smith. It just looks like a mess, man. And she was just spilling the beans, saying how the first wife ran off with the money. I mean, she just put all that man business out there. I don't see why a man would stay with you after you put all his business out there, and then two, you letting everybody see the yams. I mean, marriage is over. If you asking me, the marriage is over. But hey, that's completely up to Joe. I wish Joe the best, honestly, because I feel like nobody's even thinking about my dude, who's probably going through some hard times. And there's a million other ways she could have got his attention other than this. They got counseling now. They got apps where you can do shit, psych, appointments and stuff. They got all kinds of stuff for that. Social media is the last place you want to be broadcasting your business, especially, stuff about your relationship and your sex life and all this other stuff. Just like, last week I spoke on Dwight. That's nobody's business, just like he said. But if you're going to broadcast the stuff, don't get mad, because like May said, it becomes everybody's business. It becomes everybody's business when you do that. And yeah, people will be all over it like vultures. But that's what Joe was really mad about. He wasn't mad about the OnlyFans. The OnlyFans probably is innocent. He probably would have been okay about that if he got the heads up. But the fact that he found out how he did, he was tripping. Now, I'm pretty sure that once he realized how viral that video went, he was way more mad than he was in that clip that we saw. Because he looked like just a regularly, disappointed, angry dude. But he wasn't going crazy. I'm sure after he saw how viral that video went and how big it became and probably started getting phone calls, yeah, he had to leave that situation. I'm just hoping he don't crash out, because, I mean, when you going through some financial situations, your relationship is already, in a rough spot, and now you got to deal with the world coming at you. Oh man, dude, they calling him a cuck. They calling him all kinds of things, and it's like, bro, yeah. So I feel for my dude Joe Smith, and I just hope that everybody can learn from this, is that, man, if you got a chick who got these kind of bodies and got these kind of things going on, be prepared, man. You can't hide none of that from the internet. All that stuff is still out there. It's still out there. I'm kind of surprised. Back in the days, the internet was nothing like how it is now. Not everybody had access to it. Not everybody had access to great service. Niggas was still on dial-up. In fact, I think people was actually still paying for adult entertainment at that time. So you didn't have free websites. So it's possible that she may have rejuvenated her adult career inadvertently. Yeah, so Joe got a lot of things to deal with. Another thing is, tomorrow's my birthday, so I kind of wanted to get a quick clip in just because I'm feeling amped and just happy to be alive. I know a lot of people don't get to see this age, so I'm glad, to be hitting my 37th and 3 more years before the big 40. But I'm just glad to be here, because I know a lot of people who didn't make it past 30, and just want to tell everybody, man, just stay up, man. Life is gonna have its ups and downs. It can always be worse. We could be in any one of these 3 wars that's going on right now. I mean, like, when I say in them, I'm not talking about like in it, on the outskirts. And I'm talking about like we could be in it. We could be in an apartment, things getting bombed. So I think we all need to count our blessings and pray that World War III doesn't happen with all the madness that's going on in the world, and hope for a better 2024. With that being said, this is TNN. I wanted to keep it short and sweet. Please like and subscribe and comment. And please just, anytime you guys feel like you want me to touch on something, hit me up in the community comments, and I'll definitely touch on whatever y'all want me to touch on. Other than that, PayPal is below if you want to send birthday boy some donations. But beyond that, be easy, man. It's TNN. I'm out.
Listen.